Thank you for joining the Amazing Grace Bible Study today. We're going to be reading in Daniel chapter 11. We're going to see what many call to be the most detailed prophecy ever given in one chapter of the Bible. So let's take a look. Well, friends, today we are going to read, and it is going to be a lot of detail between kings of the north and kings of the south in the Middle East. Now, if you know, you've been following our series here in Daniel, that Daniel was given from the time of Nebuchadnezzar's dream some understanding about how kingdoms would break down from Babylon, and different kingdoms would rise into power, but that Babylon itself would would fall, and it would become and break down into other kingdoms. And so in Daniel chapter 11, it's more detailed about what takes place in these kingdoms. And what Daniel receives here from the angel is an account of well over 300 years of prophecy. And so as we read, I want you to know that as we're reading and talking about these kings of the north and south, they're exchanging power. And there is actually a period of time where they are not at odds with one another because of a marriage between one of their heirs of the throne on the northern kingdom, and then one of the heirs in the southern kingdom as well. Tomorrow in our study, we're going to see the actual history. Today, we're going to do the reading from Daniel 11. It's unique. When we're reading it, there's just one verse can give you a timeline of so many years, and so many different events can take place in just that one verse. So let's read here together. If you're following along, we're starting here in Daniel 11, verse 1. It says, "Also I, in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I, stood to confirm and to strengthen him. And now will I show thee the truth." Notice there from verse 1, he talks about Darius the Mede. And remember, because the Medes and the Persians were at rule at this time, both ruling at the same time, the former kingdom of Babylon. And so here in verse 2, he says, "And now will I show thee the truth." This is Daniel writing and speaking about himself. "Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. And a mighty king shall stand up, that shall rule with great dominion, and do according to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided toward the 4 winds of heaven, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion which he ruled, for his kingdom shall be plucked up even for others beside those." We know that part of this is some of the things that were already given to Nebuchadnezzar through the dream that Daniel was able to interpret because of God, and also a dream that Daniel had had. And so part of this is that, but we're going to see a much more thorough account given of the northern and southern region of the Middle East. And it says in verse 5, "And the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes, and he shall be strong above him, and have dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion, and in the end of years they shall join themselves together, for the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement. But she shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand, nor his arm, but she shall be given up, and they that brought her, and he that begat her, and he that strengthened her in these times. But out of a branch of her roots shall one stand up in his estate, which shall come with an army, and shall enter into the fortress of the king of the north, and shall deal against them, and shall prevail, and shall also carry captives into Egypt their gods, with their princes, and with their precious vessels of silver and of gold, and he shall continue more years than the king of the north. So the king of the south shall come into his kingdom, and shall return into his own land. But his sons shall be stirred up, and shall assemble a multitude of great forces, and one shall certainly come, and overflow, and pass through. Then shall he return, and be stirred up, even to his fortress. And the king of the south shall be moved from the choler, and shall come forth and fight with him, even with the king of the north. And he shall set forth a great multitude, but the multitude shall be given into his hand. And when he hath done, and when he hath taken away the multitude, his heart shall be lifted up, and he shall cast down many 10,000s, but he shall not be strengthened by it. Let's pause for a minute there before we continue reading there from verse 13. You see all of this detail and this in-depth knowledge that is given to Daniel by this messenger of God. And these accounts are so detailed. Again, we've mentioned this throughout our series a couple of times. Scholars, liberal scholars, do not believe that this was written prior. They don't believe that this is divine inspiration from God, because it is so detailed about what actually occurs. They think it was written afterwards. Verse 13, for the king of the north shall return, and shall set forth a multitude greater than the former, and shall certainly come after certain years with a great army and with much riches. And in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south. Also the robbers of thy people shall exalt themselves to establish the vision, but they shall fall. So the king of the north shall come and cast up a mount, and take the most fenced cities, and the arms of the south shall not withstand, neither his chosen people, neither shall there be any strength to withstand. But he that cometh against him shall do according to his own will, and none shall stand before him. And he shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be consumed. He shall also set his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom, and upright ones with him. Thus shall he do. And he shall give him the daughter of women, corrupting her. But she shall not stand on his side, neither be for him. After this shall he turn his face unto the isles, and shall take many. But a prince for his own behalf shall cause the reproach offered by him to cease without his own reproach. He shall cause it to turn upon him. Then he shall turn his face toward the fort of his own land, but he shall stumble and fall and not be found. Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom, but within few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom. But he shall come in peaceably, and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. And with the arms of a flood shall they be overthrown from before him, and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant. And after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully, for he shall come up, and shall become strong with a small people. He shall enter peaceably even unto the fattest places of the province, and he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey, and spoil, and riches, yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. And he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army. But he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. Yea, they that feed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall overflow, and many shall fall down slain. Now let's pause for a minute before we read verse 27. We're about 2/3 or so of the way, a little over half of the way through this chapter. But before we go into verse 27, do you see how this is a person, Daniel, that is given this information? And when he's given this information, all at the same season, all at the same period, all in the same really moment of time, that he's given this information from this angel, he's given this revelation of knowing what's coming to this degree about these kingdoms and exactly what they're going to do. Over a period of 300 years, I think it's somewhere around 370 years, they say, that these particular prophecies that Daniel spoke of before they occurred. It's a powerful thought, friends, and so we have to consider Daniel again, as we have throughout this series. In the first portion, we understand that Daniel's brought in as a captive. His people were, and his home place was destroyed, and so he was taken in captive, taken prisoner by the Babylonians and brought into Babylon. He ends up in the king's palace because of his talents, but we don't hear anything about his parents or his family. And I think that's something that, we can consider, that when our world is shaken to that degree, it could cause the majority of people to become bitter and crumble and fall, be angry, and never recoup from that. But Daniel did. And he faced many adversities and many challenges. And for God to speak through him in such detail, it says a lot about Daniel. Because of this, friends, no one is forced to connect with God, to receive messages from God. Mankind is given a free will by God, and he cannot go back on his word. Angels were given free will. We know that because Lucifer, who we know as Satan, was cast out of heaven with 1/3 of the angels that followed him. And so, what is the difference in Daniel as a believer and us today? Well, our God is the same God. And he is moved by those who diligently seek him. And it says he even rewards those who diligently seek him and believe him for who he is. And we can absolutely see that in Daniel's life. But not only that, Daniel had a heart like our God in many ways. He wasn't perfect, but he had a heart that became, over a period of time, like unto God in some ways. Because think about how it was Daniel who was grieved for the sin of the people. I mean, friends, sin is rampant today. And our churches are, in so many ways, they're not what they used to be. The church being, people meeting on Sundays and going to the church building. We know that we are the temple of the living God. And so he dwells inside of us, and we can worship him in spirit and in truth at any time. But we are to gather together, and our churches are and it's sad to say, but becoming a thing of yesterday. We definitely see that falling away that Scripture speaks about. And, the difference is that people are not seeking God in that way. But Daniel, he was so grieved by the sin of God's people that he fasted for them, he prayed for them. I mean, he was put to his knees about it. You know, when is the last time that we have been so grieved by seeing the condition of the people of God that we'll fall on our knees and that we'll pray? That just expresses the heart that Daniel had, and how he had every reason to become bitter about his situation, but he didn't, and God used him in a mighty way. Let's continue to read on, and this is just amazing how he has so much given to him. I have never read a chapter quite like this in Scripture, and it's so unique. Let's read on there. Verse 27, and both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table. Notice that the two kings will sit at the same table. We're going to talk about it tomorrow, the actual history, and with the names in behind us. We won't have time to do it today because of the reading is so lengthy. But it says, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. Verse 28, then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant, and he shall do exploits and return to his own land. At the time appointed he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter, for the ships of Chittim shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. When you see that holy covenant, you're seeing the people of the Lord, specifically the nation of Israel, being dealt with here at this time about the prophecy that was given, and it actually occurs in history that we'll talk about tomorrow. Verse 31, and arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall be corrupt by flatteries, but the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword, and by flame, and by captivity, and by spoil many days. Verse 34. Now when they shall fall, they shall be holpen with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries. And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them and to purge and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, lowercase g there, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. Verse 37, neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory. And he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen and with many ships, and he shall enter into the countries, and he shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land. Notice that terminology there, the glorious land, into Israel. And many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab and the chief of the children of Ammon. He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt, and the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and utterly to make away many. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. You see that you can literally look at one of these verses and be talking about years of time, because it's speaking about kingdoms. It's not just speaking about one little moment, one little decision. It is many moments of time, many events, and many decisions. And Daniel is given such specific detail. And so tomorrow you're going to get to see what actually did happen in history after Daniel was given this prophecy. It's going to be interesting, friends. Well, I look forward for you to join us again tomorrow on this series on Daniel. Thanks, and God bless you all.